And we're continuing with the third chapter of Emma in Winter by Penelope Farmer. Slowly, all that week and the next, she found her ease with Bobby grew. At first, they had always list-making as an excuse to talk, but gradually they found they needed no excuse for that, talking about the work they did or the books they read, about the weather and the other children, and Miss Halibut, and even now and then about themselves. Emma could even tease Bobby occasionally without fearing to seem cruel. She had almost forgotten that she was being friendly to him merely as a cure for her guilty conscience. Indeed, she was beginning to find herself enjoying the friendliness as much as Bobby seemed to, for neither, after all, had many other friends. Yet despite this, when it came to asking him to tea, as she had planned, she found herself surprisingly awkward and shy again, as though she thought he might be suspicious of why she should think to invite him. She asked Miss Gosling first, who grumbled but said yes. She supposed so, if Emma must. That was easy enough. Yet when she came to ask Bobby himself, she several times hesitated, mumbled, and said something else hurriedly instead, until by lunchtime, of the very day she had meant him to come, she still had not mentioned it. But it was at lunchtime that day that Molly Scobb came up to Emma, looking secretive and smug. "Hello, Emma," she said. Too nicely, almost. Emma, eating sandwiches in a corner of the classroom, looked up surprised. Molly these days did not usually speak to her if they fell over each other in the street. Certainly she never bothered to come especially to do so. "Hello, what do you want then?" she asked in a bored voice. She shook sandwich crumbs off her lap onto the floor and looked as if she wished she were throwing them at Molly. "I don't want anything," said Molly righteously. "And," she added, "if you are going to be rude, Emma Makepeace, I shall go away again. But I hope you've noticed that you've put crumbs all over the floor. Miss Halibut wouldn't like that." "Well, I've done the mice a favour," Emma said. "And anyway, why should I mind what old Fish-Face says? And I'd love you to go away, so there, Molly Scobb." But Molly stayed where she was, fidgeting her feet and tidying her hair ribbon with crooked-up genteel fingers. "And where's your friend Bobby Fumpkins?" she asked at last in a bright, polite voice, but looking at Emma inquisitively. "How should I know?" Emma licked butter off her fingers and looked inside the remaining sandwiches to see what kind they were. "Gone home for lunch, I expect. Anyway, what's it got to do with you?" "I just wondered. Aren't I allowed to just wonder, then?" "No," said Emma. "Not when you're just curious. Curious monkeys burn their noses. I hope you burn yours, that's all." But Molly did not seem to listen. Her feet all fidgets, her hair ribbon tossing and jerky. "Well, I thought you might know. You seem to spend a lot of time talking to him these days. Everybody says so. Scooter and Jammy say you're loony to want to talk to him." Emma was aggrieved. "Of course I have to talk to him. We have to decide things. Miss Halibut says so. For instance, we decide who's going to do all the nasty jobs. So if you don't go away, Molly Scobb, and mind your own business, we'll give you the nastiest jobs we can think of for the rest of this term." Molly's face was tight, but still she did not budge. "Marley Scragg says Bobby's the soppiest boy in the village, and she'd have a new baby for her best friend if she had him. I bet she'll think you're just as soppy for going around with him." Emma was furious. She jumped to her feet, scattering sandwiches, crumbs and paper right and left, hard-boiled egg yolk rolling and breaking and lodging like damp sand in linoleum cracks. "Who says I care what Marley Scragg says or what you say, for that matter, Molly Scobb? Anyway, I don't go around with Bobby Fumpkins. We just have to discuss things, that's all. Why can't you jolly well mind your own business, you and Scooter and Jammy and Marley and everybody? I don't care what any of you think." But she did care about Marley and about what Marley thought. And as she watched Molly's pleased scamper back across the linoleum, she knew she cared. She was thinking, "I hate Molly Scobb," but underneath she was thinking, "But I do like Marley. I do want to be friends with her, like when we were sledding. She's better than anyone else in this silly place." She was certainly better than fat, red Bobby Fumpkins. Being friends with Bobby would never make up for Marley scorning her. In her immediate fury with Molly, Emma seized on Bobby as soon as he came back to school and talked to him, not letting him go until lessons began again, all the while throwing I don't care-ish glances at Molly Scobb. But all the afternoon she thought about Marley, and she slipped away quickly after school, saying no more than goodbye to Bobby, who looked very bewildered, and after the quick goodbye, a little hurt as well, which only irritated Emma noticing it. As she went into the gate at Aviary Hall, kicking up the tired grayish snow, she remembered that she still had not asked him to tea. She thought determinedly, "I'll ask him tomorrow then." But she let the thought slip to a back part of her mind, where it might lodge and be forgotten, and knew that more likely she would not ask him, nor on the next day either, nor the next. And we'll pause there.